I found this article that I think it's really old. I'm not sure. I have to find the date for you, but I found this article that found interesting to say the least, and just gonna read it to you and see what you think. Okay, so after you subscribe, after you like, make a comment. Let me know what you think about this article. Okay. Data from the U.S. Department of Education Office for Civil Rights suggests that black students face disproportionately higher rates of suspension and expulsion from school. For instance, in K through 12 schools, black male students make up only 8% of enrollees, but account for 25% of suspensions. Wow. Wow. A quarter of the suspensions is only 8% of the population. Wow. Many believe some teachers apply the rules of discipline in a discriminatory way and contribute to what has been termed the school to prison pipeline. That's because research has demonstrated that students who are suspended or expelled are significantly more likely to become involved with the juvenile justice system. So, and that's basically saying instead of a teacher trying to reach the student, it's automatic, let's just, or not just the teacher anyway, the whole system or administrators or whatever, they push the kids to be suspended instead or expelled instead of having some remediation or some form of intervention for these students. And so, with the how that affects the students, they end up doing something wrong and end up in prison. So that's what the school to prison pipeline is. In 2014, the U.S. Department of Justice and Department of Education issued guidelines for all public schools on developing disciplinary practices that reduce disparities and comply with federal civil rights laws. The guidelines urge schools to limit exclusionary disciplinary tactics such as suspensions and expulsions. They also encourage the adoption of more positive interventions such as counseling and restorative justice practices. Now, why wasn't that in place before? Why are black students being targeted and black male students, no less, when we have so many issues with, different races or just kids in general doing things? Why would you target those? I'm going to leave that there. And it had to have had to have happened in 2014. Wow, what's that, 7 years ago? Whew, okay. In addition, the guidelines specified that schools could face a loss of federal funds if they carried out policies that had a disparate impact on some racial groups. And that's another thing. Schools had to be threatened with losing funds for them to look into this and realize that it's wrong. It's so systemic that it's been normalized. People think that it's okay to expel one type of student more than the others. Something's wrong with that. Innately wrong with that. Opponents argue that banning suspensions and expulsions take away valuable tools that teachers can use to combat student misbehavior. They maintain that as long as disciplinary policies are applied the same way to every student regardless of race, such policies are not discriminatory. I mean, I think I agree with that. However, if a teacher, if the system in a particular school believes that it's only black students who are more violent or misbehave more than the other, then the system is not going to work. But I agree, everyone should be expelled at the same number that everybody else does. Don't just target one particular group. But once again, if you are racist or you discriminate against one particular type of student because you think that in your head you think that they're more violent or they misbehave more, then this is going to be a problem. So I see both sides so far. One major study found that the racial disparities in school suspension rates could be explained by the students' prior behavior rather than the discriminatory tactics on the part of the educators. I don't agree with that. Because most of the times as school teachers, we don't know the student's past necessarily. Well, in my building, nobody tells us anything until we encounter something, and then they tell us after the fact that this child had a past, this child was this, and this child was that. So going in, most of the times, we don't know what this student did. So unless it's an administrator, that particular sentence is targeted to administrators, then school teachers, we don't know. So I don't know how to respond to that sentence. In any case, the last paragraph here. In 2018, now we've moved on 4 years from then, still 3 years ago, the Federal Commission on School Safety, which was established in the wake of the school shootings in Parkland, Florida, was tasked with reviewing and possibly rescinding the 2014 guidelines. According to an Education Next survey taken shortly after the announced review, only 27% of Americans support federal policies that limit racial disparities in school discipline. Wow. So after the Parkland shooting, a bunch of wealthy white students were shot by a white student. That's when they chose to make a change. Had that not happened, and as tragic as it was, had that not happened, they wouldn't have seen that there's a problem that they needed to fix. Okay. Don't know how I feel about that. Well, I do know how I feel about it. I'm not gonna say it. Only 27% of Americans support federal policies that limit racial disparities in school discipline. 27%. That tells me a lot about America. What are we doing, America? What are we doing?